Segment 3, Andrew Ferguson, rock star. On your own years as an undergraduate, went to Occidental College in Southern California. Quote, I explored the great city of Los Angeles, joined a rock and roll band, became a regular at a Zen temple, attended concerts without numbers, swooned through doomed romances. You must have enjoyed that, swooned and doomed. You must have paused. You must have paused when you were writing that.
I almost
swooned through doomed romances and pursued a dozen other forms of fun that had nothing to do with traditional education, and all of which, more to the point, could have been pursued at a much lower cost if I hadn't pretended to be a student, close quote. Too late now, the book's out. But how much of this did your son know as he was applying to college?
Well, you know, it's almost as though the question doesn't arise because we don't let it arise. That the you mean about
I mean about your yes. Did you say, now listen, son, don't do as I did?
No, he doesn't know anything of that until he reads the book, especially the part about the swooned through doomed romances, which I think he's busy doing right now anyway. But what I was trying to get at there is that we have a terrible confusion in our beliefs about higher education in America. Of course, we believe that everyone should go, and at the same time, we don't know why. What is college supposed to do? Is it supposed to be, you know, leisure time for spiritual nourishment so you can read the best that's been thought and said and so on? Or is it training for a job? Or is it, as in the case of many people, a booze cruise, which is, from what I can tell, what my son is embarked on right now. But anyway, this confusion dates all the way back to the democratization that we talked about earlier of higher education. So we don't know, are we just training people to get jobs, or are we trying to nurture them to become better citizens?
Well, so back when it was 2% in college, that was what? In those days it was training an elite to teach. Right. It was really quite strictly intellectual formation, right? Yes. No booze cruises, no vocational aspect. Yeah. So the confusion about what college is for dates from the end of the Second World War. Right. It's pretty recent.
Right. Oh yeah. And we're the only country that suffers from it too, I think.
By the way, you've got one of the themes that runs through here. You quite often in the book express a little exasperation with your son's relaxed attitude toward the college application. I'm just wondering what effect all of this. I'm anticipating, I suppose, the final chapter here a little bit, but I can't resist asking right now, what effect did the whole process have on your relationship with your boy?
Well, at times I thought it was doomed. Seriously, I mean, and I had ongoing conversations with a number of parents about this. The worst part, the absolute worst part, was when we actually did the applications. You notice
we? See? I thought you'd at least suppressed it in public.
No, I'm sorry about that. That just came out. When he was doing the applications with some assistance from his father.
Editorial assistance,
yes.
Perhaps.
And of course, you call them applications, but really what they are, the application is a little form that you fill out. The heart of them are these essays that they ask the kids to write, which are almost all sort of touchy-feely and, you know, tell us your emotions. And one of the college counselors told me, I mentioned that we were having trouble writing these essays. She said, well, you just have to tell your son to tell us his innermost thoughts, dig deep, and tell us what he's really thinking. And I said, lady, he's a 17-year-old boy. He doesn't have any innermost thoughts. And if he did, you wouldn't want to know what they are, and neither do I. So instead of just saying, you know, tell us about your a political issue that you would like to solve or something. It's sort of, tell us about your most embarrassing moment. You know, tell us about the time where you really thought you were most you. Things like this that are just antithetical to a 17-year-old boy's, and girls, I think, somewhat way of thinking. But of course, it fits perfectly into the whole self-esteem culture that these kids are coming out of.
Andy, your 1978 tuition bill was $5,100, corrected for inflation. Today, that would be $16,500. Occidental College now charges $40,000 a year. Occidental, like institutions of higher learning across the country, has increased its tuition much faster than the rate of inflation. Why?
Well, that is the great unanswered question. And it's the one that bedevils parents.
But if you purchase Crazy You will find some answers.
Yes, absolutely.
All
I
right.
mean, I embarked on this. The short answer.
The great until now unanswered question.
Right, exactly. Thank God for me. No, the best answer, and of course it's not a complete answer, came from Richard Vedder, who is this very courageous specialist in education and economics. And I said, why the hell does it cost so much? Why do they keep raising their prices? And he said, why do they keep raising their prices? Because they can. Who's going to stop them? And of course, this is true. Parents like me are going to do what is necessary to get their kids through the 4 years of college and hope that they have a wonderful experience.
Why? You served in a Republican administration. I served in the Reagan administration. We've spent, who knows between us, how many hundreds of speeches we've written praising the workings of free markets. The market doesn't seem to operate here.
No, there is no supply and demand. That whole mechanism has broken down because, as I mentioned, the sort of elastic demand that comes from people like me, we'll just keep figuring out a way to pay for it, and the colleges keep raising their price. At the same time, of course, politicians, both Republicans and Democrats, have been vastly expanding the pool of aid.
You say there are at present there are $143 billion available in aid each year.
Right.
Isn't that just a direct subsidy to the educators of America?
Absolutely, absolutely. Which is why so much of the college literature is not really about you should go to school because it will do X or Y to you. It's just you should go to school. You know, don't worry about the money. Go to college. Just go to college. The College Board literature is like this. U.S. News participates in this as though the abstract ideal of college were in itself justifying. Yeah, just sort of self-justifying that, well, of course, everybody has to go to college, right? We know that.